first press conference. And Steve, how does it feel to be the second choice of the next England manager? Whoa. This is one of the saddest days of my career.
Did you think to yourself, this is me done with England?
You're letting a nation down. That's what upset me. You just had to look at somebody, give you the look, and you went, oh, I'm in trouble. He knew what he needed to do to play, yeah? Eric wanted more. And I'm thinking, oh dear, we're in trouble here.
Never fear a storm.
Be ready to adapt.
The skill is staying true to ourselves.
Well, Steve, you're in the chair for your episode of High Performance.
Thank you for inviting me. I've got to say, I'm delighted to be here because, you kept me going for 2 years, that M62 corridor.
When you were at United?
Yeah, from Boston Spa to Manchester. I used to do it every day, 6 o'clock in the morning. Didn't like music at that stage. You just started the podcast. And I thought it was a revelation. I really did. Not just that you guys are here, but constantly listen to every episode. Couldn't wait for the next one because the amount of detail that you got from people has never been released before. Even I read a lot of biographies and books, and it's, we won 3-1 and we were top of the league, and then the next season we did this, but to get really underneath and and I always remember your first question, what is high performance to you every morning? And every morning I had a different answer.
So what would you say today then?
Yeah, well, obviously, inviting me out, I've been thinking about it, and after seeing quite a few things just recently, I watched the snooker, I watched McClaren with the golf, I watched Formula One. I think high performance is delivering, performing, a high performance, but under pressure. I think that's the key thing. Justin was in and talking about, even if you're a kit man, even if you put the cones out, it's a performance. And I do it most days. So when I come in, everything's a performance. So meeting with the staff is a performance. Meeting with the players is a performance. So, and I want to do it at the highest level. So high performance to me is I must prepare for that meeting. And preparation is key. So I over-prepare. But that over-preparation gives me a belief when I walk in that room that I can deliver that. And real high performance is when you've got the actual courage to deliver it in front of 23 players, 8 staff, 90,000 people, and you're on the side and you've got to deliver a performance in that 95 minutes, which it is. It's all theatre, it's all a show, and you have to deliver that. So preparation, belief and courage lead to high performance. And high performance can be any level. And in my 3 months just recently, I've been watching lower leagues, non-leagues, and there's as much pressure. I saw Mark Hughes at Carlisle against York. You see Mark Hughes on the sideline, there's as much pressure he puts on himself for winning at Carlisle as he did when he was at Stoke in the Premier League. So it doesn't matter what level or what sport. And the key thing for me is that pressure can lead to mistakes.
Yeah.
So that's why preparation is key. Ultimate belief in what you are and what you do. And that is small wins that you build up. You get that belief. And then it's actual courage to go out and deliver that. And I've seen so many mistakes recently. If you saw the snooker Mark, he has one black to go into the final. And it's a straight black. I could have done it with my eyes closed. And he missed the black. And Wu, who eventually won it, comes back and wins 2 frames and goes into the final. So it doesn't matter what level, preparation, belief you can do it, courage equals high performance when you're under real pressure, if that makes sense.
Now, there will be some high performance aficionados like you listening to this now saying, Stephen McClaren's just said the word pressure 20 times in the first 3 minutes of this podcast. No, but I think that's a really, really interesting place to start, because performing is one thing. Performing under pressure is something totally different. So can we go to the moment in your career where you either took on a job or had a moment where you were like, okay, now I thought that was pressure, but this is pressure?
Of course, going to England is the biggest. I always remember going in and first press conference, and I'd been with Sven, I'd been with Manchester United as a manager, so I'd had this, I knew it, but to experience it yourself, and then I always remember going up like this with the microphones, 200 journalists, photographers, TV cameras. And the first question is, and Steve, how does it feel to be the second choice of the next England manager? Whoa. Because I think Scolari had pulled out or something, and then whatever. And I went, wow, welcome to the England job. and I think the noise and the media was a part of it, which I'd seen with Sven. I'd seen with Sir Alex, and I thought, yeah, but nobody can prepare you for that moment that you actually, bang, you're there, and no one had. It took me 6 months, and I think whatever job I've kind of done, and especially going abroad, to adapt and to change and to whatever culture, environment. You've got to it's tough. The first 6 months are hard, really hard. And the first 6 months at England were really hard. I mean, they had me on the coach and lip reading what I was saying, and remember Andorra and going and the crowds, and they were booing. They were booing the bus going to the game. Right. And I'm thinking, oh dear, we're in trouble here. And the press after. And I always remember the press after that. We won 3-0. And the press, and I just delivered we won. Steven Gerrard was great, a couple of goals and led us, no questions, gentlemen. That's all I've got. Walked out, right. And that was the change for me. And then I went, right, ignore the noise.
Because what you did, you just came in, gave a statement, and walked away.
Yeah.
When do you remember making the conscious decision, like, I'm not going to answer questions after this, I'm just going to speak and go?
Yeah, I kind of made that decision. I think it was half time coming in. It was 0-0. Oh, we got the booze of all booze. Yeah. And I remember saying to the players, look, it's my responsibility, and I always think that it's my responsibility, You've prepared, you've got to believe because you're damn good players. Now just have the balls and the courage to get out there and do what you do. And to be fair to the players, and I remember that Stephen, and this is always, someone will always step forward, for England, it was either David Beckham, it was Wayne Rooney, it was Michael Owen, someone would always step forward, Frank Lampard. And this night it was Steven Gerrard just stepped forward and went boom, and won the game, and that was it. And I'd made my mind up. I've had enough of this. I am just going to be myself, right, and try and be authentic and just, deliver what I can. And so from that moment on, I decided ignore the noise, be polite, say what you want, but focus on the job, which was winning football matches.
And what do you think the difference was then for you as a manager once you decided to cross that Rubicon and just be authentic regardless of the noise?
I'd always thought I had been. And you always play, and I always say to many managers now, and the game is theatre. It's theatre. And if you treat it as a great show and you're part of that show and you don't get too ahead of yourself and think it's just about you and it's just about your team, and it's the game in general. It's the whole sideshow. It's the whole fans, community, media, press. So, I remember someone saying that to me. You're just part of the sideshow, Steve. You're just part of the sideshow. Just enjoy it, you know. So I try to do that a little bit more, and that's when, just be myself a little bit more in front of the cameras instead of, right, I've got 3 messages to deliver. Right. I'm delivering that, and that. And sometimes you just got to be yourself. And I think once I kind of relaxed into the job, and that was from Middlesbrough days. It's great being assistant. But from the Middlesbrough, as soon as I stepped into the number 1, it was completely different. No one's prepared you for that. And, Middlesbrough first 4 games, no goals for, 13 against, no points, pointless, clueless. And I went, I'm not reading any more newspapers after that, and just went focused and got on the job of what's your job.
Like, is there a metaphor to describe the difference? Like, is there a way that, for those of us outside of it, that we could understand the difference from going from a number 2 to being a number 1?
The only thing I would say is you are, as a number 2, and you think you contribute, and you are contributing because you're questioning all the time and you're asking. So you're suggesting. But that first day in management, you are actually making decisions. What colour socks, Gaffer, do we wear on the trip? What T-shirt, what colour T-shirt? What jacket do we need to put on? I'm going, what the?
Yeah. It's like an overwhelm of questions.
Decisions.
Yeah. Like a scratching post for a cat. It's just constant.
Decisions. And, I always remember Sir Alex, when I left, any advice from me, he said, don't seek conflict. You'll get enough of it. It will come to you. Don't have to go finding it. You'll get it. Sleep. I remember he always said, sleep, make sure you do that. And decisions. You get 7 out of 10 right, you've done really well. He used to get 9 out of 10 right. But he said, you get 7 out of 10 right, he says, you're doing well, son.
Love
I always remember that. So I always remembered, if I do make a decision, don't worry. You're going to get 3 out of 10 wrong, and you're still doing well.
Sticking with the conversation around England, you learning to deal with that pressure is one thing. You relieving it from the players is another, because they would have also been feeling that this is more pressured than Chelsea, more pressured than Arsenal, more pressured than City or Liverpool. So how were you able to also find the mental capacity to remove the pressure from those England players as well?
I don't think we did, otherwise we'd have done better in tournaments, and I think that was the key thing all the way through. I know.
You don't think you managed to relieve that pressure for them?
We tried.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about it, but I think it was very difficult because that's very insular. That's very personal to each player individually, and no matter you've got to give that persona, and I think that's why Gareth was so successful. He had that persona, that calmness, and Sven was similar. But there was always a frenzy, even with Sven, always a frenzy with myself. And there's always I remember Gareth, and we talked about the initial, there was always a frenzy behind that. So there's always going to be that, and players have to deal with it. And players have to, they're England players, they've got to take that pressure on and deliver as they do. And a lot, I've done national team, and Jamaica were the same. We used to come to Jamaica, and would you play for Jamaica like you play for your club? And I used to say, will you play for England like you play for your club, with that relaxed? And I've spoken to several England players since then, and some say, well, within the camp there was, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, and there was factions of discontent. There never was.
Right.
We just couldn't find the balance. And people have asked me, well, we've got the World Cup coming up. From my experience of 3 tournaments, the 3 key things is you need energy. And that was always a problem. That we had 3 tournaments, the players came, end of a hard season, the Premier League, Champions League, the top players were always in that, fatigue. We didn't know whether to go on holiday and give them a breather or to give them an extra boost of fitness to get them ready for the tournament. So fatigue was always a problem. You need energy. That's it. You need energy. In your dressing room, in the hotel, on the game, you need energy. Second is you've got to keep your players fit. So we've got to keep Kane fit. You've got to keep Rice fit. You've got to keep Saka fit. Whoever else you choose. But you've got to keep your big players fit. All right? And 3 tournaments we had, and Beckham injured with a foot once. Rooney injured, went out of the tournament. So for me, we had injuries. And the third and most important, things have to go your way.
Yeah.
And a lot of things didn't, sending offs, penalties, etc. So them 3 things are key to anything. So England's chances always going to be top 5, always going to be a contender, and you can never say they're going to win it, they're going to win it, they're going to win it, because you look at Argentina the last time, got beat by Saudi Arabia, and still managed to win it. You imagine the furore if England had done that. Would they have recovered and gone on from that? But I think, they did, and England have to cross that path and been very close. And they have an opportunity because I think, one, the squad is bigger and better and more balanced, but you still need your big players fit. And who knows about luck and the bounce of the ball? Yeah. No one knows about that. And it is key in all tournaments.
There's a stat I keep coming back to. Postcode lottery players have collectively raised over £1.7 billion for charities and good causes. Now, that's kind of a number that's hard to grasp, right? You can't really picture 1.7 billion, but you can picture a breakfast club, making sure that kids start their day ready to learn, a mental health service being there for someone when they need it most, or a youth programme building confidence in the next generation. That's what 1.7 billion really is. It's not just a number. It's thousands of moments where someone got the help they needed because of funding raised by postcode lottery players. It's consistent, it's long-term, and it's all driven by players. Together, you are creating real impact. So if you want to see more about how this funding is making a difference in communities, click the link in the description to learn more about powering hope together. Postcode Lottery manages lotteries for 20 charities. A minimum of 30% of each ticket price goes to charity. 18 plus, conditions apply, not available in Northern Ireland. This is a paid advertisement by BetterHelp. I had a bit of a realisation on one of the podcasts recently that we expect men to open up, but most of us have never actually been taught how to do that. We're told to just get on with it, just keep moving, keep performing, don't make a fuss. And then at some point in your life, someone tells you to talk more, and you're thinking, yeah, but I don't know how to do that. And I have had so many moments like this where I feel something building that no one sees, pressure, stress. You can't put your finger on what it is. You certainly can't say it out loud. And that was the thing that really landed for me recently in a conversation. It's not that men don't want to talk, it's that they don't always have the words to say what they need to say. And that's where something like therapy can change everything. We want to encourage men to say it louder and get comfortable opening up. It gives you a space to slow down, to understand what's going on, to actually learn how to express how you're feeling properly. So when life feels overwhelming, I know that therapy can help. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/performance. That's betterhelp.com/performance. And those 2 games that cost you the chance to qualify for 2008, did you feel like it was luck that you were missing in those 2 games?
Well, that will be the Russia and the Croatia. Yeah. We were fine and we were doing fine, and we were going to Russia, and we were playing on AstroTurf. You can't play on AstroTurf in a World Cup qualifier where we just need a draw and we're going through. You can't play on AstroTurf. Yeah, in Russia you can. So we had to play on AstroTurf. Now, preparing for AstroTurf is very difficult with the players with injuries, knees, blam, hips. Yeah. So we did train on AstroTurf, and it was dry. We went to Russia Took us ages to land. I always remember we're going, why are we circling around the airport? We can't land. It's the Russians. So, in fact, John Terry actually phoned Abramovich on the plane.
Did he?
And said, Roman, we can't land. For some reason, we are not landing. And we're going round and round in circles. And 5 minutes later, all of a sudden, we landed. I thought, that's influence for you.
Yeah. The Chelsea captain delivered for England that day.
And we trained on the artificial we were going to play on the night before. And it was dry, bone dry. And we come to play the game. And they soaked it. So whereas we trained on it, it was slow. They soaked it, and in the warm-up, it was rapid and lightning. So we had that to contend with. So that was the first one, and I thought we were a little unlucky in the game and one or two things, but maybe then we come back, got the luck and the result, and yeah, we played Croatia, and I actually thought we were going to win 2-0 down, come back to 2-2. I thought good changes second half when we're back 2-2 and about 15, 20 minutes to go, and someone hit a long shot from 30 yards and unbelievably went in, and so yeah, some things happen that you can't control, which is why you have to control the controllables.
So when you were standing on the side of the pitch at that point, did you think to yourself, this is me done with England?
Oh, we had to win.
You knew it would cost you your job?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. That's the job, qualification for your tournament. So I knew we had to win, and knew that it was curtains if we didn't.
But you were also following a legacy of fine men like Graham Taylor had gone through, that public ridicule afterwards. The turnips, and in his biography, he talks about how his wife was spat at in supermarkets and that sort of social disgrace that followed it. Did that enter your thinking at that moment in time that we almost put our England football managers in the stocks and love to ridicule them?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's always difficult. It's always difficult. I remember there is relief, unbelievably.
Really?
Yeah, there is relief. So you get over the disappointment, because you never do, but you take it. You've got to. I always remember after going, and John Terry was great. John Terry said, "No, we're going to speak for you, Gaffer. We're going to speak for you as well. We're going to." And I said, "No, don't. I don't want the players speaking. It's my responsibility, and I've got to go out and face everything." "Well, we want it." I said, "No, I've got to do it, and I'll do it."
And why did you want that? Because I almost think if John Terry comes out and says, "Look, this guy has been brilliant for us. The players were behind him. We didn't deliver." It's good for you. It's good for your legacy. It's a good message for you as a manager. But you didn't want that.
No, I always felt it was just my responsibility to do that and face the media and not them, because they had to carry on playing for England. I knew that. And I knew what the job was, and I knew the consequences. I've been at the side with Sven through many, many ups and downs, and see how he handled it. And I've got to handle it with great dignity. I thought I tried to do that. Press conference the next morning. Then I remember going home, and I live in Yarmouth, and my house is a mile down a long road. And you come off the main road, and it's a mile to my house and through it. And coming back on the night with my wife, and there was cars parked each side of that mile-long road.
Wow.
All the way down to the house. And I went, wow, And I thought, I hope this isn't going to be it, constant. And I got into my house, got through. And I remember Craigie from Sky Sports, I phoned him. I went, I've got a mile-long queue of cars, and they're all outside my gate. I said, what do I do? Are they going to be parked here? I'm going to be here all night, or what? He said, "No, Stevie, just make them a cup of tea. take a tray out,
Right.
make him a cup of tea. He said, just stand there, answer a few questions, and they'll go away. And I went, behave, Craigie. And he said, no, they will. They'll go away. So me and the wife, we made some cups of tea, tray each, went down.
You put salt in
Fed
it.
them. Yeah. Fed it through the gate. And I'll answer one or two questions, which I did. Thank you very much. Drank the tea, left them on the floor, walked back in the house. 10 minutes later, everyone's gone. Wow. And to be fair, that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And then people move on, and it is right. People move on and they move quickly, but it's a week, 2 weeks of, constant.
Yeah.
And I was lucky because I had good family, very good wife, very good community, because I was in Yarm, which was, all Middlesbrough. So the Middlesbrough people were fine. Kids went to the school and said, "You're okay, yeah." So it was an environment in which I could walk down the street and everyone would go, "Hi, Steve." They knew me as just Steve rather than whatever. So it was fine.
And what about your boys, though? Because obviously, if I try and put myself in your position there, I'd be worried about the impact on my family of this kind of scrutiny. What did you say to prepare them for it?
I think it was interesting because after Andorra, and we'd won, and we'd came home, and everyone was, even after that, McClaren's gone, and he's got to quit, and he's got to do this, and he's got to do that, and so we had a family meeting in the kitchen, and I can't remember how old the boys would have been then, only young, but they all went to the same school. And my only worry was that at school they were getting usual kids alike. So I got the kids together and I said, "Okay, look, we're in this situation." I said, "Carry on." I said, if you're getting too much stick, you can't take whatever's happening, hearing or things like that, then, we'll think about quitting. And the boys went, "You what, Dad? You got no chance." He says, "You got a World Cup to qualify or Euros to qualify for." He said, "School's fine."
That's
He said,
so nice.
Okay, everyone's all right. And the missus is in the corner going, "Oh, no." I'm going, "There you go, love. Unanimous. 4 against 1.
We carry on.
We carry on. Yeah.
I think it's so interesting, though, that when you say that when you left England, there was a relief, a sense of relief. And in some ways, it's such a shame, isn't it, that the biggest job in English football, arguably one of the biggest management jobs in the world, when you lose the job, you have a sense of relief.
I think that's every job. I think, no one will and can't explain the pressure that managers feel.
Yeah. Could you try? Could you try and take us into standing on the touchline in that final game?
Very difficult. I couldn't. Not even that. You are all emotional. I remember when I went to Derby and Darren Wassell was taking a game, and he was there, and he took the game, and then I took over the team the next game, and I said, "How was your face?" He says, "All these courses we go on, all this at St George's Park, just do not prepare you for that." Because I think he played the game and he was 3-0 down, I think 4-0 down at half time,
right?
And that's pressure. You just think this is going to get bad, this is going to get worse. And, I've had bad defeats, and you internalise it. And you just can't, you have to be in that position. I can't say, well, imagine that, and that's what it's like. You have to experience it, and only those who have. And I presume that's at every level. I speak to my friend who, was doing Eastleigh, He said, "Steve, I can hear it." He said, it's worse for me than it is for you, Yes, he said, "You've got 90,000 on shouting at you." He said, I've got 50 people behind me, and I can hear every word, and every swear word. And I went, "You've got a point there." And I'm not too sure that would be. I wouldn't like that. That'd be too close. At least, if there's 90,000, there's 90,000, and it's, far away, and you're kind of zeroed in. And you are focused in on your job and what you've got to do in that 95 minutes, which is the be-all and end-all. So managing that 95 minutes is key to everything.
I think it's so fascinating, and I think we're about to enter another World Cup, right? And I've obviously, as you know, worked with players who've played for England, all of whom have told me the fear when you put the England shirt on. What are the papers going to write about this performance? That idea that they're restricted because the pressure's so great. You've just told us about the pressure. We've spoken to Sam Allardyce on this show about the pressure. I remember talking to Sven years ago about it. I just wonder what purpose it serves. I wonder if we were a nation that was encouraging and embracing of our England team managers and players, I wonder what a difference it would make.
And I speak to other nations and other national team managers. It's just as bad.
Oh, it's absolutely, yeah. It's not an England thing.
And I tell you something, I mean, I've just come back from Jamaica. You play games in Jamaica. Oh, wow. Wow, are they emotional.
Right.
And I remember going to the island and watching the local teams, and there's not many of them. Wow, the emotion that the supporters have, over emotional.
Well, maybe this is what's magic then about football.
It is, absolutely, and it's and I remember the last game, and vitriolic at times, much worse. At some stages than with England or any and I'm thinking, wow, this, and it's just it's the show, it's theatre, and these are such, everyone's passionate, and that's what, and you do create a sense of you're letting, that was my thing, you're letting a nation down. That's what upset me. I'm letting the team down, and I'm letting a nation down. And that's not 90,000 people. That's 50, 60, 70 million people who support England when there's a tournament on or there's a game on. That weight, that's what you realise.
But I sense in the answer there, when you're describing the Jamaica experience, where you were able to detach yourself a little bit and go, wow, this is incredible, this display of emotion, compared to when you were on the touchline at Wembley. What have you learned about being able to disassociate yourself from those emotions to be able to do your job and protect your own dignity?
Yeah, I think you just go along the lines, and you learn from different managers. You learn from Sir Alex. You learn from, Sven was perfect. Calmness personified, wasn't he? He was just never bothered him at all.
Was that accurate, or was that just the public perception? Or was that behind the scenes as well?
Just pure calmness. And I think that calmness, he made better decisions.
Can you remember a time at England where you made an emotional decision and it wasn't the right one in hindsight?
I think the key, and I've talked to a lot to coaches and trying feedback. And I say, look, game management is the most important thing, that 95 minutes. We can all go Monday to Friday. And I just read the other day, Pep talking about, do you get nervous? Do you get anxious? He says, Monday to Friday, I'm not even nervous a little bit. An hour and a half before the game, yeah, I'm nervous. And I think that is exactly right. And even during the game, sometimes you can be. So dealing with that emotion, you have to have certain processes and you have to know yourself very well. You have to know your triggers. You have to know how to stay calm, come back.
Yep.
And you have to have good people around you, who keep you. And you see it now with, I see Arteta, and you see his two assistants who are trying to bump and calm him down, and you can only make good decisions under calmness.
Yeah.
And that 95 minutes is important. So, but there's been noticeable games where should have done that then. Should have done that then. Changed too late. Changed too early.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, there was. It was that last England game, and we were 2-2, and we were on the ascendancy, and we're going on to win this game, and then it just, I think there's a little spell of 2 or 3, 5 minutes where we kind of ran out of that energy and that initial steam just after half time. And I always remember I had Terry Venables, Steve Round, and it's that last 20 minutes and you're looking for changes. Yeah, I think we should, what do you think? Yeah, well, maybe we should change him. Maybe one of us, maybe we should change Stevie G, bring him off, get some energy in that midfield. He's run his. And I was thinking, he's our best player. Right. Do you take your best player off? And you think, gosh, if he goes wrong, I take my best player off. And all of a sudden you're thinking of the consequences. Bad. Bad. And I went, consequences of that, not too sure. Not, but he's our best player and I think he's okay. It's the consequences of it. I'm thinking too far ahead. And that's why high performance is dealing with that pressure and dealing with that and staying in the moment and going, what's best for the moment? And you get advice from people and players, and you have to make the decision on that on the game. So, and I think I waited about only a minute or two, to make that decision instead of being, okay, get. And just as I went, let's make the change, boom, they scored. And I went, damn, should have done it a minute ago. Just that minute.
Yeah.
And I thought, damn, it's a big lesson for me. And I thought, you've got to stay in the moment. And obviously, then we kept him on and we put subs on to try and get the equaliser to qualify through, and it didn't work out. And that's why I always say to people, and not just that, I can recollect the times that I've done it. Then I also recollect, Sir Alex, get 7 out of 10 decisions right, you're okay. Yeah, but you got to get the important ones right, And that was, when I worked with it, that was his strength. He just went boom, boom, boom. And he had courage in his convictions to do that.
Yeah.
And to, doesn't matter.
And do you know how Sir Alex was able to have those courage of his convictions?
I think because he was a risk taker.
Right.
I think it might have been Rene when he was interviewed by you guys. I think he was talking about his decision making and if this doesn't work, if that doesn't work, if that doesn't work, if that doesn't work, we'll just gamble.
Yeah.
We'll just gamble. And that's what he did. And I've seen him do it many times, and sometimes he got it wrong, but not many. But he didn't mind. So what and this is, he had great belief, and this is what they talk about. His preparation was immaculate. He had such belief. He never blamed himself for any defeat. Defeat.
Explain what you mean by that, because you came in and said this is on me with that England game.
Yeah, that's right. And I would come in on a Monday and go, Gaffer, defence and that, and him up. He didn't play very well, and he, and everything. He says, "Shut up, Steve. It was the referee. It was the ref. He didn't add on enough time. It was this. It was that." And I was thinking, maybe we need to work a little bit more on defence, or we maybe need a word with him, or we should have, no. And been fortunate to work with top managers and top players. They're all the same. Never their fault. They've got such belief in themselves that they are right all the time. And it's a strength, also a weakness, yin and yang. So, and I really admired that. And maybe I was thinking, I should be more like that instead of going, you know what, let's analyse Saturday why we lost. And the gaffer used to just go, it's a referee. It's that linesman's decision. It was that. Right, we move on and we're quick. And
was that the key, that it just allowed him to be able to process it a lot quicker and move on?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it just belief. It starts with confidence, but ends up with great belief over preparation. And I saw, I've seen that many, many times. And United was the finishing school for me.
Yeah.
It was. This is what it's all about. You do podcasts, you listen to everything that comes. I used to read anything on American sports because they were dealing with millionaires way before we were. How do they deal with them? How do they handle that pressure and everything like that? And that was the finishing school.
So can I go back then to the recruitment of you? Because were you aware that Sir Alex had phoned around his managerial peer group asking for the most innovative young coach in British football?
Well, we'd all seen it, and I was happy working with Jim Smith at Derby. We were doing really well. Great brand of football. Jim's crazy, but magnificent to work for. Good team. We're doing okay. And I was enjoying it. And I was a coach and an assistant. I wanted to be the best coach, in the UK. I wanted to be the best coach. And that was always my goal.
So you didn't want to be a head coach? It was just being...
Well, I knew the progression.
Right.
So initially, to start with, I got the bug, as you do. And once you get the bug, you're a sponge for knowledge. So I got that and progressed. And I wanted to progress and get as far as I possibly could. So, climb Everest, shall we say. That was my goal in football. I worked with Maurice Evans, and I always say, get yourself a good mentor. And Bill Bezic.
Yeah.
I was 30 years with Bill. What a mentor,
Phenomenal man, yeah.
And a truth teller. So I was happy going along, but all of a sudden was at a dinner, and this one journalist who I knew was close to Sir Alex said, you might get a phone call in a couple of weeks. Look for him. The man. Yeah, he's looking. He's looking. I said, yeah, shut up. No. And I've read all about David Moyes and things like that. No. And I never heard anything and never thought anything of it. Got a phone call Saturday night. It's him. He's got his voice. I'm thinking, it's a joke. Anyway, he said, Tuesday, I'll have a word. We were playing them on Tuesday. I'll have a word with Jim Smith. You want to come to Man U, son? Yeah. He said, right, I'll sort it Tuesday. So we played them. Man U won 1-0. We played well. And get back, Jim Smith pulls me about 2 a.m. at Pride Park. Says, you'll be up early in the morning then, eh? I said, what, Jim? You'll be up early in the morning. Oh, what do you mean? He says, you know what I mean. You've been talking to him, haven't you? And I went, yeah. He went, I know. He pulled me tonight after the game. And he said, do you want me to drive you? Or are you all right driving yourself?
Oh, amazing.
Brilliant, eh?
Yeah.
I went, big hug. And I went, fantastic, great. And he said, get yourself there, son, tomorrow. Wow. So that's kind of how it happened. So I drove next day, met him, and
But tell us about that Saturday night phone call, because we've had people like Phil Jones on here that told us about when he was recruited. He goes to see Sir Alex at his holiday home, and the question he's asking him is, I want winners. Are you a winner? What's he asking you in that phone call?
I think the key thing to that was it was just real short, sharp, abrupt. You want to join Man United? I'm looking for an assistant. We've identified you. And he kind of knew, don't say no. And I went, yeah. And he just said, right, this is it. I'll sort it. Boom, boom, boom. So I sorted it. Met him on Thursday. I thought I'd have the weekend off. He said, come to the hotel Friday. We're playing Forest on Saturday. Sit on the bench. And then your first session's on Monday. And that was it. That was my itinerary. I went, oh, fine. So I met the players, and they were like, who's this? I got introduced, Steve McClaren, by the German.
He used the wrong name when he introduced you to the players.
I'd like to welcome Steve McClaren as our new assistant. I went, oh, what chance have I got?
Wow.
The players must be going, who is he? And I met them on Friday. Who is he? sat on the bench on Saturday, played Notts Forest, won 8-1. And I come in on Monday and see the gaffer and say, well, what do you want me to do? He looked at me. What do I want you to do, son? What do I want you to do? I thought I'm in for a bollocking even before I'd started. I said, yeah, well, do you want me to coach this, coach there? How do you? What did you do at Derby? And before I could answer, he went, that's why you're here, son, because of what you did at Derby. Now get out there and coach like you did at Derby.
But how good for you, though, to empower you in that moment, to be like, Steve, it's yours.
Then that was it, clean sheet of paper. And I think there was once in the 3 years we were together, he went, Steve, I really want you to focus on this for this game. Runs in behind. Anyway, and I went, and people say, so what is it about him? What is it about him? He's just a people's person. But you work for him. He trusts you. And that was the biggest thing. So he trusted me. He trusts me first day with that.
Yeah.
And I always remember, and he always used to come out first 20 minutes. How's it going, Steve? How's it going? Yeah. He said, yeah, they look sharp, they look all right. Yeah. And do you mind if I go back in the office? I go, just a couple of things I need to sort out. Yeah, no problem, yeah. So he just left me completely to it. I couldn't believe it. We had experience, and I thought, and he chose people. He recruited well. Recruit the best people. That's the key. It's all about people.
Yeah.
And he recruited the best people. He told them what the job was, or they expected to know what the job was. That was why, and he let him get on with it, and that was it. And I thought, wow. And he did that with all his staff, all his players. He trusted them to do the job. And the second thing, he set such high standards.
And how would he set those high standards if you're doing the training and the staff are looking after other areas and he's kind of a little bit hands-off in the week? How are those standards set and maintained?
I think I was lucky because I hadn't seen the days when he was fighting everyone.
Yeah.
To gain that power. But he gained that power. And it's like Ryan Giggs once said in an interview, we used to hear that cough coming down the stairs at the cliff and everyone's scarpered. It's like the headmaster's coming, scarper. So he just had to look at somebody, give you the look, give you the whatever, and you went, oh, I'm in trouble, to a player or whatever. And so people say, you haven't seen the height. He'd never used the hairdryer. Didn't need to.
What were his team talks like? Because I imagine this is a period where you're absorbing so much.
Everything was emotion. Everything was to the heart. Everything was.
What sort of things would he be saying then?
He knew individual players like Gary. He knew your grandparents. And he'd say, one of the players' grandparents had passed away. Grandad would be looking. He'd be looking today. Yeah, he'd be looking. All right. And everything was, every team talk was about, the 99 Cup, European Cup. Got a chance, boys. Got a chance to fly to the moon. Fly to the moon. Who's done that? You've got a chance. That's what tonight is. Got a chance to do that. And then we were all like, wow, yeah, the moon. Phew. And that was, it used to just, every time, even at me, I was up and going.
I think you can feel it even now, can't you?
Yeah.
I see it in your
Yeah,
eyes.
you get the goose because you were there with it. And I always remember, it was, we did a Legends game. So it was Bayern Munich against Manchester United a few years ago.
Oh, yeah,
Old
it was the
Trafford,
30th.
remember?
Yeah, I went to it, 25
And
years.
we got all the players and we was in the dressing room.
And Beckham come back, didn't he, for it?
Yeah, everyone,
Yeah.
they came back for it.
Yeah.
And he gave a team talk in the dressing room. Oh, my God. It was. I went, it's unbelievable. You guys, back in that day, you were magnificent. you were super, you were this, you were that. And it was, and I went at the after, I cannot believe nobody has got the phone out or none of the social media in the club had filmed it, because it was one of the best team talks. Yeah, I'm not saying we went out there and they beat Bayern Munich 7-0 this time, but it was, and that's what he had. It was just a hook for the game, and he knew the hook. There wasn't many tactics, really. It was the hook of, and you know why you're playing for this shirt.
You know, becoming a parent changes how you think about so many things, including money. When you're younger, it's so much about the next opportunity, isn't it? The next project, the next adventure. But I found that once I had kids, I'm starting to think longer term. How do I make smarter decisions? How do I help the future look a bit more secure for me and for my children? And one of the things that I've been exploring recently is how to make my money work harder in the background. Well, XTB have launched a cash ISA and stocks and shares ISA where new customers can currently earn 6% interest, which includes a 2% boost for the first 90 days. It also gives you tax-free growth, daily interest, flexible withdrawals, and no account management fees. And if you open an account and make your first deposit within 7 days, you'll receive a free stock to help you start your investment journey. If you want to find out more, go to xtb.com/en/join/high performance. Capital at risk, investment values can rise or fall. Tax treatment depends on your individual circumstances and ISA regulations, which may change. Limited free stock available. 2% ISA rate boost for 90 days. New clients only. T's and C's apply. What's one habit that's made a real difference to you? For me, it was just changing my alarm to 15 minutes earlier in the morning. It means I can just get my head straight and really attack the day in the way that I want. I've also added to my routine drinking AG1. One scoop mixed with water in the morning just sets me up for the day because it contains vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, plus good bacteria all in one go. And for me, focus is the big win. It makes such a difference. AG1 is also rigorously tested. They've updated the formula over 50 times based on the latest research, and it's informed sports certified. So even athletes take it. To try it, head to drinkag1.com/high performance. And there's an offer right now, £59 instead of £79 for your first month, plus a free welcome kit and travel packs. And you can try it completely risk-free. If it's not for you, contact AG1 within 30 days and they will give you your money back. What's not to love? But I think also the manner management was masterful. Can we talk about someone like Roy Keane, who I imagine from the outside looking in as a teenager growing up, watching this team, was a tricky guy to manage, and how you managed to get that right with inspire him enough to go for it, but not too much.
Roy was always a balancing act.
Right.
What I admired first and foremost about him, I just think it was, wow, what a leader, what a captain, what a man. Didn't realise what a good footballer he was. Never gave the ball away in training. We played little area. I used to go out with that. Never gave it away. And he was, I loved him. Whoa, standards, you know.
Give us an example.
You were saying, how would you set standards? How did the gaffer set standards like that? Why? Because he had a captain who was exactly like him,
Right.
and set the same standards and demanded the same standards that he did. So he just went, he gets on with it. And he did it. And I remember going in and after one game and we won 1-0 and I was going, oh, well done, boys. It was great. That was great. That was good. Yeah, you were good. And Roy went, Steve, shut them. He says, we were crap. He says, do not ever come into this dressing room, Steve, and say we were good when we were crap, even though we won. Honesty is what we want in this dressing room. Wow. Give us honesty. And I went, fair enough, right? Lesson learned. And I went back and sat down and the gaffer went, little lesson for you there, eh? Little lesson. And he said, do you know? He said, I'll tell you something. These players, he said, they only need 2 words. They only need 2 words. Well done. That's it. Don't flower it up. Don't give them any more. Just go around and just go, well done. Well done. And that stuck with me all the time.
Brilliant.
So I just said, even anyway, if anyone gets a well done from me, they know, oh, that is a well done. And the same was for him.
So when we spoke to Rio, he told us a story about how Keane was very good at testing you quite early on, and he tells a story about whacking the ball at him in his first training session and saying,
Steve's
"You don't
laughing
get much
already."
for this." How did he test you? Because you're coming in mid-season, and so they've seen the manager trusting you. Did he choose to put you through the crucible?
They all did.
How?
That's what they all did. They were ruthless. It was like going into a jungle every day. I was, my first 5 months, I didn't sleep. My sessions I planned till about 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Right.
Whether that's a little box or whatever, I planned it and tried to vision it and tried to make it perfect. So over preparation, give me belief that it will be all right. And then the actual courage to go, Roy, do this, or Teddy, do that, or Bex, do that, or whatever. And I think it was, you just had to gain the respect, didn't you, of the players from day one. And that was, so with Roy, as long as you were like him and you wanted them standards, he'd have you, he'd have you. And I was one of them that just, I thought this was always my standard. I always wanted training intense. I always wanted competitive. It was always winners and losers.
Yeah.
And that's what they wanted. That's what they loved. They went, we'll have this. And the way we kind of delivered it, it was very, and I always, as a training session, you always get players, I wanted them in that band. If I over-arouse them, if you over-arouse, so there's that band. And my job was from the start to get them in that band. So we'd have boxes, which were quite competitive, but also humorous, that you could get the energy. What I talked about at the beginning, energy. I wanted energy. So we got that up. So a few bad decisions, or you go in, or whatever. I got them in that sweet spot. And sometimes I make a decision and they got them over-aroused. That was the worst, because you couldn't control them after that. So that was my sweet spot. So on every player, and Roy was kind of my gauge to getting in that sweet spot, if that makes sense. So as long as I got Roy in that sweet spot, generally the team would follow and be in that as well. And I remember a couple of times, if you give a decision against Roy, Roy, you were last. In the race, you were last. It's 10 presses for last. No, I'm not doing them. Well, you can't. So we'd have like a face-off for that, And
how important is it for you not to lose that face-off in front of your lads?
Yeah. It was. But there again, I've seen boxes, and the gaffer used to join in, and Roy would zip a ball, and someone wouldn't go under the gaffer's foot, and everyone would go, "Gaffer, you're in," and he'd go, "Wow, it's a bad ball."
Not his fault. Never his fault.
It's a bad ball. I think it was Roy who passed it. He went, "It's a bad ball." And Roy went, "It's the best ball I've played all season." It's you can't control it. I can't control it. Oh, that was it. and and that was the ferocity of the group, that it could explode like that. And that was everybody, that was, and sometimes you lose it yourself. But they wanted that competition. They wanted that edge. They wanted that intensity. And they did it every day. If my cones weren't straight, Steve, you've been drinking last night. One of the cones out of place. Oh, that was a bad day. Oh, you haven't counted. Oh, everything had to be spot on. Perfect.
But I've often thought about you during that period, and it sounds just so like you must be on hyper alert. You've come in, you've been given this trust. You're working till 2 or 3 in the morning to get your sessions right. Like, what did that take out of you? Because that must have been exhausting.
I was gone.
On an emotional and a physical level.
Gone. Every, which is a lucky period, 5 months. And I was, as soon as I finished, boom, back to my hotel room, flat out, thinking of the next one. So after that 5 month period, I was gone.
Right.
Totally. And I always remember then I was getting in the car park. We just had the big parade, waiting, dying for a holiday, please. Just about to get in the car, big shout. Where you going, son? Holiday. He says, you're not. He says, you're in tomorrow. I went, no. He says, yeah, you're in tomorrow. I want all the staff in at the cliff, 9 o'clock. All right?
So you've just done the treble.
We just done the treble.
Unprecedented in British football.
And we're off. And he said, no, meeting. All the staff next morning, 9 o'clock. Big box, put your medals in there. He said, that was good. Got to do it again next year. How are we going to do it? And I went, oh my God, wow. And that was the third big thing I learned. I think that's what made him different. Most people, myself included, win the treble, have a week off. Have a week off, we'll discuss it, and talk about it, and no. Next day, what we're going to do. And so we came in the next day, and how we're going to do it. How we're going to do it again. He just hated and could smell complacency amongst the players. So although setting the standards, he knew when the standard was dropping. So he would observe a lot, listen a lot, and read body language well.
Right.
Something wrong with him, Steve. Something wrong with him. Deal with him. Have a look at him. And he hated anybody getting complacent. And if they got too complacent, and, you say, well, he let people go early, before probably the sell-by date. But he knew that would affect the group. And, there's been many stories of that. So complacency wouldn't allow it.
But I've often reflected on this because we've grown up in that generation and loving that relentlessness of Sir Alex, of the bus keeps moving and we all get onto it. But there is a shadow side to it, isn't there? That it's great when you run it, but that does come at a cost, not to take your week off. You've gone through that intense period. Surely a week off there would have been exactly what you'd have needed. What is the shadow side of that inability to ever take your foot off the pedal?
Yeah, it's a great question. He never did. Didn't allow you to.
Yeah.
And I think one of the key, you talk about high performance, and one of the key things is to outwork people, and I had evidence of that, from the very beginning with Jim, and then just football all day, and overwork and work people, and seeing him in at 6 o'clock before everybody else, and the last to go away, and all this, and thinking, God, I won't work. This is how we're being brought up. We got to work. So it takes its toll. And I think many times over my career I've had burnout, and really didn't realise it, but that's the intensity that you work at. So after them 5 months and doing it, there's always a yin and a yang to everything.
Yeah,
it's a real strength, but it's also can be a curse to your staff.
Has the job ever affected your mental health?
My family would say definitely. I would say yes. I would say yes. Definitely. But I don't know, I suppose it's one of them things that I could always work. And it's a fear thing, I think. Not a fear. Yeah, it could be a fear of failure, but and that's what I love about being in football, is that someone said there's an exam every 3 days, and you know what exams are like, no matter what, You'll take the caffeine, you'll do that. I've got to prepare for that exam, and I've got to pass that exam. So it's like having an exam at school or university or wherever and going, I've got to pass that exam, otherwise I'm in real trouble. So what do? I've got to do my homework on that. So somehow you've got to, and Eric was the same. Eric had it, Ten Haag. When I went first to 20, and I used to get in early because I was living inside, and as it was 7 o'clock, whatever, and then he'd be getting in at 5 to 7, and I'd be going, and I'm sure we'd have a little competition between us who could get in earlier, and then at night I used to go 6 o'clock. I used to go, finished, Eric? Have you finished? No. When you are, I said, no, finish. You're okay. You can go home. No. I'll wait for you. And I always just think, he wants to outwork me.
Did you see parallels between Eric Ten Haag and Sir Alex?
All managers like that.
Yeah.
All of them. Jim was the same. Sven was
You were the same.
I was exactly the same. So parallels, I thought, this is the norm. Yeah. This is what you have to do. And I used to think it's a competition between us to do that, In Jamaica, you couldn't believe it. It was up at 5:30, going through things. And yeah, you're tired, but you have to do it because it's an exam. And if you get beat on Tuesday, you're in real trouble. So it was that fear of failing that exam.
I think this is such an interesting conversation because there is no manager that has managed England, taken an underdog to a European final and won a trophy, been part of the backroom staff of arguably the greatest era under the greatest manager of English football, gone abroad and won a trophy in a foreign country, speaking a foreign language, managed another national team as well, and then sits here and is as engaged and as excited and as effervescent as ever about the game. But I think one thing that separates you again from so many other people is that you had that experience of United under Sir Alex and then went back in under Eric, as you just mentioned, which is such an interesting parallel. So when you went back in, what was different about Manchester United all those years later?
It's just different.
Yeah.
It's just different. And I was very lucky. I went into Manchester United when Sir Alex was, being the top, bee's knees, won everything. Not won everything, but it got over that hurdle of initial 2, 3, 4 years even, where he was all about character and recruitment of character. And if there were bad characters and went out drinking or whatever, and he didn't mind, I think his key thing was you must perform in training and you must perform in the game. That's it. Yeah? Anything that affects that, you stop doing it.
Right.
All right. So if you could go out for a drink, which many of them did, and you could be not bad boys or whatever, but if you give it in training and you give it in the game, I'm having you. You're doomed for me. You're in our team. So I think I was lucky in that respect to do that. And I think, how would you replace that? I always remember, who's going to be the next man to follow Sir Alex? What a nightmare. What do you do? And then everyone else has followed on. And what's happened is, and I've had it myself when I went to Middlesbrough. I was very fortunate at 5 years. And the first two especially, were really tough, really hard. And Steve Gibson could have sacked me 3 or 4 times, easy. After 4 games, no points, nothing. 1 or 2 things, happened. Nothing. I'm not thinking. No, we stuck at it. And the 3rd year was a breakthrough. And that's when we got recruitment. And it took us 3 years to get recruitment right in a club. And with Sir Alex was the same at the beginning. I think 3 or 4 years before I won anything. Recruitment. Get out the bad ones, bring in the good. And I had to get rid of Middlesbrough. So many bad. And characters coming in. George Boateng, Gareth Southgate. You got people like that. Real good characters. So that's what I learned. It was all about recruitment. It's all about people. It's all about players and the right characters, and you get them in the dressing room. So it took me 3 years. So Eric came in, and Eric had the same, and we talked about it a lot because everyone keeps saying, well, what's Manchester United? What's this? What's that? What's the other? And Eric came in, right, standards are set.
Yeah. Standards are set,
I think we train, we're in at 9, breakfast, and we train at 10 pre-activation in the gym, all right? And I think after a couple of weeks, some of the players went, can we change the training time? And I went, why do you want to change the training time? Well, before it used to be 11 o'clock. And so we used to get up and we used to take the kids to school. And because we're in breakfast at 9 o'clock, we can't take the kids to school. And we'd like to do that. Eric went, no, 9 o'clock, boom, 10. First game against Brentford, we lost. They ran so much, we ran that much. There was 13 kilometres difference in he says, they're going to run that this morning. To be fair, I went, don't be silly, you can't do that. He said, fair enough. He said, they'll run after me until I tell them to stop. Fair enough. And he had battles with Ronaldo, and he had battles with, Rashford was late for one meeting. Boom, closed the door. It was only a minute, 30 seconds. Closed the door, put the team up. He was out of it. Sancho, I think, he let go. So he had.
Was it too much? Too rigid? Too strict in the modern game?
No. I think no. I think what the gaffer had, Sir Alex, was he had that relationship. He built that kind of first, and he had that relationship and explain why.
Yep.
So that was first, and I think that, rightly or wrongly, at the beginning, which is absolutely right. It's difficult to have that discipline, which I want, and standards, which he wanted, exactly the same. And I went, because I worked with him and I knew him, I went, absolutely right, absolutely. But you're going to have to fight some battles, just like Sir Alex had to fight battles and get rid of people. You've got to fight battles and you've got to get rid of people.
But Sir Alex did it in an era where you might get 40 games. Eric was trying to do it in an era where you get 4 games. Like, you get judged so much more quickly. So there isn't the time to get to know these players.
And that's why it's different.
Yeah.
Different and no different. It's not different. He's trying to establish Manchester United way, which we all know, get the discipline right, because it wasn't. And the players had had many managers before, and, they're going, oh, here's another one.
They were big name players, though, to go into battle with, weren't they? Like, to go into battle with Ronaldo is a big decision.
Massive decision, massive. But, and Eric had his principles, and he went, you've got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that, you got to do that. All right? And I think 11 players attack, 11 players defend.
Right.
And you must run, or you don't play. All right? We can't have 10 defending and 1 not. We've got to have every, So you got to do that, you got to do that, you got to do that. And that was the battle with him and Ronnie, that whether he could or couldn't do it or didn't want to do it or whatever wasn't really the issue. It was the mindset that you have to, you've got to battle with this one, you got to battle with that one, you got to battle with him, you got to battle. And Sir Alex would have had it exactly the same. And you're absolutely right. You're not given time. But he built that, recovered, I think, bad start, like being Middlesbrough. I'm thinking, whoa, beat Liverpool 3-1, didn't we?
Yep.
And I went, whoa, that's it, And so we had spells of it. And we won a Carabao Cup. And we qualified in the Champions League in that first season. Second season was hard because I found that at Middlesbrough also. The first season is tough, Second season is worse. You think it'll get better because you have another window to recruit, but it doesn't get better.
Right.
And he had that second season, and there was ups and downs and ups and downs. But he fought like mad. The staff were that, we were all in that, and the good players. Casemiro's good player. Bruno, good players, you know. And other people, good players. He just had to turn it around and change the preparation. So we over-prepared. So when I first went to United, oh my God, first day, I finished the session. And I went, come on then, let's go. And they're all hanging around going, oh, we don't go now. We don't finish now. He says, we do extra, Steve. Oh, fine. Go on then. So Beckham went on the right, Giggs went on the left, and fullbacks went with them, and bump, cross, everyone's in the middle, finishing, another second finish and everything like that. And I went, oh, wow, this is what they do. Right. And Cantona, the story of him, he set the... And I went, and there's a sign of a good club, wherever I've been. If you finish a training session and they do extra, I go, great. And at Manchester United, when we did it initially, they weren't doing extra. They weren't staying. They were just going in.
Under Ten Haag?
Yeah, and I'm going, this is what they used to. Just finishing the session and going in. And I'm like, come on, let's do a bit of extra finishing. And Bruno would be there, you know, and Bruno practice all day doing it. And eventually people would follow, and we'd encourage it, and Benny McCarthy, and we'd have them going a bit, but not as much as it used to be. So it's always that extra. That so in time it would have turned around.
Yeah,
and we would, you know, United. We were walking home after Coventry. You know, the Coventry game. We were 3-0 up in the semi-final.
Oh yeah.
In the FA Cup.
Oh. And
somehow, by a toenail, VAR saved us. I said, don't ever criticise VAR again. I said, if they'd have got that penalty and scored it, come back from 3-0 and 4-3, we'd have been walking home.
Yeah.
And I'd have said we deserved to walk home. All right? So we did that. And all of a sudden, I see it so often now. I'm seeing it with Liam. And everyone says, you know, and we had it at that time. Oh, Eric's lost the dressing room. But, you know, in that week after, I think it was Crystal Palace.
That was the 4-0 game.
4-0 game. Were we bad? Oh, were we bad?
Yeah.
And I went, we should be walking home as well from here. And I went, but in a week, the players had kind of turned it around.
Before the cup final.
And who led from those players?
You know what it was? We used to have a activation in the gym. And some of the players always messed about with the ball and played two-touch. Diogo Dalot. Yeah. Always the same. Enthusiastic. Always positive. Always, come on, two-touch. First day, 4 or 5. Second day, 5 or 6. Third day. By the end of, say, 1 week, 2 weeks, everyone was in. And I used to stand at the balcony and look down and go, wow, the players are doing it, you know? The players are actually going, take on the message, we will follow, and we will do it together. And they were having fun and laughing, smiling. Training was great. They were all in for it. Eric and there was staff, you know, how are we going to win this game? I think it started with Arsenal. We lost, but we tried something different, suited the players, and we did that. And then we went to Wembley. And I said, after the Arsenal game, and watching them on training and watching them before and enjoying it and focused, I went, we'll win the cup. We'll win it.
How far out was this then? Like the week before you knew you were going
2 weeks.
Right.
2 weeks. So after Arsenal, I think we played the next, and then the next, everyone watched us Brighton, and we're like, it wasn't easy. I went, I said, I tell you something, it's in the stars because of what happened at Cup. We're going to win the cup. I'm telling you, we're going to win the cup. and prepared so well that Eric had a couple of videos. Magnificent.
What were the videos of?
Just one was Every Given Sunday, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Mitchell did that one, and then another was we had a security girl, and she'd been in the forces, and a big screen came up before we were going to the fire. Big screen and one chair, and the chair was great. And I went, and we're all sat in the meeting room, and he never told anyone, and we all went, somebody's going to sit in that chair. All the players were in, the staff. And we're all trying to guess who's going to sit in the chair. Someone's going to deliver a speech from that chair. Is it going to be Sir Alex? Who's it going to be? Who walks in? This security girl. And she sits down. And she starts talking about her military days and what it's like to be in the military, together, in a war zone, in Afghanistan. Powerful. And clips of things. And she was so good. And honestly, I want a dry eye. And we all got up and went. And I went, oh my God, we're not just going to win the cup, we're going to kill them. It was, honestly, I went, no doubt. And then the game started. And Man City, someone headed it back over keeper's head, and Garnacho's. And I'm going, we're definitely going to win it now, because that never happens normally. You know what I mean? Talking about the rub of the green momentum.
But can I ask you, Steve, because I was at that cup final, and when Casemiro got dropped, I think most people were thinking, what happens with his career now? And seeing the renaissance, I'm interested in, how do you deliver bad news to an icon like that, and how did he respond to it?
Wow, that was... I honestly don't know how Casemiro dealt with it, how he did.
Yeah.
With such professionalism and such dignity. And I think the key thing was that we came back the next year. You know, we didn't expect to, but we came back the next year, and Casemiro was one of the first ones in with a small group. And I was going, wow, this is going to be interesting, because he's still here. And I thought that would be the end. And he's still here. Was the best trainer. I couldn't believe it. I went from day one, such professionalism and the best trainer, no matter what. And I went, what happened to him last season? The disappointment that he must have had not to be a part of it, not even in the squad.
Yeah. And when was he told?
I think he knew well before. So I think he knew well in advance that he was out of favour, but he didn't know he wouldn't be in the squad. And I think when the squad was named, I think the day before, and he still was at the game, and he was still in the dressing room, and he still came back, and he was the best trainer. And that's why he's having the impact he's having.
Yeah.
That, I went, oh my God, that is what you call high performance, you know, from him. And he's doing it week in, week out now. Love him. Great lad. Great personality.
Was he?
Great. The best. He fight in training. Because he'd be the same every day.
Because that game against Crystal Palace, the 4-0 that you referenced, and that's one where the pundits famously said, leave football before the football leads you. And he was being written off as a top-level footballer. What were you seeing that gave you like this view that this guy's a class act?
Just the way he acted, just the way he was. We spoke often, and he used to say, he said, Eric's the best coach I've worked for. He says, in detail, in tactics, knowledge of the game, he's the best. Ancelotti is the best manager he's worked for in terms of personality, man management, look after the players.
Right.
Said. So he said that, he had utmost respect for Eric. But it was just every day he was the same. and he would train every day. He would fight every day. He would do extra, And I went, wow, that is professionalism. That real admiration for him.
Can I ask what your role was in those moments of conflict, whether it was like the Ronaldo moment or Marcus not able to join the meeting and being dropped from the team for being late? What would you do in those situations? Were you like the peacemaker? Were you taking Eric's side? Were you trying to kind of explain to all parties what was going on and find solutions for people?
It's difficult because this is always something which I say I said to Eric, I said to everybody, is he doing what you want him to do? Is he doing what you want him to do? If he isn't, can he do it? If he can do it, why is he not doing it?
Yeah.
If he can't do it, get rid of him. Yeah. If he won't do it, can you persuade him to do it? That's it.
But Ronaldo could, right? I mean, he could run back and defend.
But he didn't want to.
But why? It's Ronaldo, like he's lauded as the professional of professionals. My son, who's 10 years old and loves football, if I say who's the greatest pro of all time, he says Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, in terms of preparation, the way he was, the way his charisma is just, and I love the chats with him. He was honestly different, but he just had a set way of playing, and every team. Speak to Roberto Martinez now. We adapt to Ronnie. Eric wouldn't adapt. If he would have done, he felt he couldn't because that was showing a bit of weakness, and that's how Eric was, And I've seen same traits with the gaffer, exactly the same. So he couldn't. So he didn't want to, which is understandable because he is. As you rightly say, he wins your football matches. He can win your football matches, but they had such a clash that, nobody, Ronnie, just get on with it. Ronnie, you've got to do that, and then you got to return there, and you got to do that, and then you'll play. He wants you to run, okay? A little more than you probably want to, but fair enough, And he always used to point at this. Sir Alex had a thing on the wall, top talent must work hard to be a top talent, And I used to go, yeah, but you're not, and he used to go, right? And he's go, okay then. Okay. So it was always going to be a clash, but, everybody's adapted.
Yeah.
And they adapted, the previous year when he was there, they adapted. And, you can get that if he's delivering. If he's not delivering, the team won't accept it. So it's just a principle that Eric had. And I quite agree with it.
And what was the reaction in the dressing room when he left? When
he
Ronaldo
left?
Like,
there wasn't a great deal.
Right.
No, it wasn't. No. I remember that, and I thought, wow, like that, and it'd be interesting. Players just got on with it. And the players in general, they're not much different than they are now. And you see them now, compared to that. They've been, Van Nistelrooy was great. And he just went. I really liked Ruud. I thought he was fantastic. Great with the players. So Ruud just came in, like Michael's just come in. And Ruud just had his own ideas and went 4-3-3, and Bruno, you're there, and Casemiro there, and Kobe, you're there. It's a good three, and he got on like that. And he got 3 results, didn't he? The team played well. And I thought, I personally would have given it to Ruud till the end of the season, because he'd done what needed to be done with the team, But they do what they do.
You made that comment about you love your chats with Cristiano Ronaldo, and I think over the years we often look at him. I'm interested in, can you give us an insight into how he thinks that maybe is a little bit different than the rest of us mere mortals?
There you have it, mere mortals, which is what we were. and rightly so. you know, and it became even mere mortals when you spoke to him, because he just walked in a room and you went, Ron is here, you know, and he was professional, he was polite, he knew what he wanted, you know, he knew what he needed to eat, he knew what he needed to work on, he knew what he needed to do to play, yeah? Eric wanted more,
Yeah.
or different, but this is me, this is me, and if you treat me and you tell me to do it, I believe, and he believed he was still the best in the world.
Which is great.
Which is absolutely great.
But also maybe sometimes this is what we want, this is what you want, and it's okay to not do it together. You go and do your thing, and he's gone to Saudi, and it's been amazing for him. And Man United have moved on, and it looks good for them. It's like sometimes a parting of the ways is maybe the best thing.
Of course, and it was, totally. And it relaxed Eric, it relaxed the group, it relaxed the whole feeling in the ground.
Yeah.
And it was the best for both, for it to happen as it did. And I think, you know, they carried on from that.
But is there any insights or anything he ever said that you thought, right, that's a different view that I've not seen from other footballers?
No, he and rightly so, he was the best, you know. And like you said, I'm better than Messi, you know. He's
right.
So he and that's what I'm talking. When the top ones only won 2%, and you've had them on the program, you know. You know, they're like, you know, they just believe they're the best, you know.
You know, Eric Ten Haag was the guy that spotted Kobe Mainoo and brought him through, the guy that made some really difficult decisions about players that maybe their time was up at United. He won you that trophy. He beat City in the FA Cup final. You've just told us that he hadn't lost the dressing room. The players were still fighting for him at the end. I just wonder whether there was still more for Eric Ten Haag to do at Manchester United.
Yeah, and look, and this is my probably message that I say to all these managers I see going out, you know, and thinking, and they go, well, he's lost the dressing room. Of course you do. Of course you do now and again. You know, Middlesbrough, 3 or 4 times. You know, my last year, my 5th year, totally lost them. And somehow, I can't remember what I did, we were on camp and changed a little bit, and, you know, because we had Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, we had Viduka, we had Yakubu, we had big players, and I was kind of upsetting them, you know, and it was my fault, you know. They were what they were, but, you know, I was playing one and dropping the other and doing this and that. I just went, I can't, you know, I've got to play 2 of them. So I played 4-4-2 with 2 of them and solved the situation. And they were like a revelation. And I went, whoa. And then everything, you know, towards the end, then we got to a European Cup final. And yes, you do have moments where you lose it. And it may be not the manager's fault. It may be that no matter what you've got in that dressing room, the balance is not right. And it's got to be right. It's got to be right. It's baking a cake. If you put the bad ingredient in it, the cake flops. And you can have that. And I've had that. A lot. And somehow, how do you turn it around? How do you turn it? You need to get rid of him and him. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 windows, but you know that eventually they're going to be all right. And eventually the players, like they did at Man U, eventually, you know, everyone pulls together because we can win a cup here, you know, we can win something here, which is what Manchester United is about. So, but that's in general in what I see in always lost the dressing room, get rid of the manager, you know, and the manager comes in, same problems.
Yes.
But, you know, you can solve it.
I just don't know how you managers do it. I mean, I look at this season, for example. You know, Thomas Frank is a mega star at Brentford, the worst manager in the world when he goes to Tottenham. Leroy Rossini did a great job at Strasbourg, was pilloried and criticised unnecessarily at Chelsea. And we spoke to a coach who was involved at Tottenham, and he said to us it was an alignment problem.
Yeah.
And I think fans and the media, they just don't they don't see what they can't see.
No.
And we can't see if there's a lack of alignment at a football club. And there has to be, I think, a way of managers explaining better what is going on so that we can understand why Thomas Frank struggled at Spurs or why Liam struggled at Chelsea or why Eric struggled at United. I don't know how we do it, but I feel like there's a knowledge gap missing here that would be great for the fans and great for managers and great for the game.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, you've just said the word alignment. The only time I've had success is when everything's been aligned from the top to the bottom. We're all singing on the same page. And that's what's going wrong. It's misalignment. And you're absolutely right. It's like the incident with the boy Fernandez, was it, who from Chelsea, who
Enzo Fernandez.
So Liam takes the responsibility of that, where it should be a club. The club agree with this. So if chairman, owner, you agree with this. Yeah, I agree with it. Sport director, all the way down, and everyone's aligned. But there's too much of the manager who wants to say a lot, but can't say a lot, who has to deal with it. Whereas we employ, now sport directors, technical directors, whatever, other people above, to also be involved in them decisions. So I think the clubs need to, alignment is the key thing you've got to have. When you don't have it, you can't win, especially as a head coach, manager or whatever. So maybe in that instance that the club comes out and we all agree on this. Yeah, we all agree on this, right? It's clear to the fans then that the whole club's behind it. Whereas Liam, I'm doing this, and is it the club? So I think once the club,
Yeah, but the club know that if they let the manager take the pressure,
of course,
then the owner is free of the scrutiny, the sporting director's free of the scrutiny. The manager's such an easy fall guy in the game. Like you said, they're part of the circus.
Yeah, so that's right. That's their position.
Yeah.
So, Steve, did you feel, because you were there when INEOS then comes in to Manchester United, did you feel that there was a misalignment then while they were trying to find their place? Could you sense that?
No. I sensed an organisation coming in who knew damn well what Top Sport was all about and had Top Sport people within that group. And I know Dave very well, Dave Brailsford very well, and chatting with him, I went, eventually this will work. Right? Eventually this will work. Won't work instantly, but eventually it will work because there's so much knowledge there. There's so much resource there that, and given time, and it will be given time, it will work. And you're going to make mistakes along the way because Manchester United is unique. It's different. From up, the noise is different from the outside. So, and they're learning, and everything's about people. And if you've got the right people, generally, you're okay. So, and it will work out. I'm absolutely positive.
And what was your sort of experiences of Jim Ratcliffe?
No, I just used to come round, say hello, inspect the place and. It was once, I think, he went down to one of the dressing rooms and boots were laying, and this was his his attention to detail in terms of, well, these dressing rooms are not tidy enough. This isn't the standard that I want. And I quite like that.
Yeah.
I like that. People going, someone's going to get blamed for that. Someone's going to. They just went, I just pointed out that it wants a certain standard, and I think that's what they bring. All the sports teams which they've got, all have that and are all successful. So eventually, he won't stop until Manchester United are exactly that.
And you think they'll get back there?
I do, definitely. What's the plan for Manchester United going forward? All Michael has to do is demonstrate going forward, I'm the man to take Manchester United going forward. And this is what I would do. This is who I would buy. This is who I would sell. This is who I'd let go. He's already demonstrated the culture, the principles of play, what he would do with the backroom staff. So he's already demonstrated on the field that at the moment he can do that. He's demonstrated that a little bit at Middlesbrough, what he did. He needs to demonstrate now at Manchester United in terms of can he take them forward aligned with everybody from top to bottom. And that will only be known when that alignment get together and discuss it. That makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. I'm so glad that on those trips from where you were living to Manchester United, you started listening to high performance. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting in the chair now. And that has been one of the most fascinating conversations about leadership, about dealing with pressure, about dealing with challenges and letdowns, but also enjoying success and seeing your true brilliance in the flesh and delivering like the most remarkable career that you've had. And we sit here having this conversation now, and Dick Advocaat's back in management, and Roy Hodgson's back in management, and Neil Warnock's back in management, and you're a lot younger than all of them. You're like the same age as Jose Mourinho, right? Your story's not over in football, is it?
Oh, my ankle's better now. I'm feeling better. And yeah, don't know what's ahead. And this is football. This is why you love it. And it's just...
What would you love, though? What would light your fire?
Just to be involved in... I'm a learner. I'm a worker. And I'm a teacher. That's basically what I am. So any job that involves me with them three things gives me energy, gives me a purpose to get up in the morning. So at the moment, I'm fulfilling that with going around, talking, coaching coaches, doing talks and things like that. But I like to be around people. I like to be around a team. I like that. The format that you get, because I'm like a sponge. I want to know about. It was great them 2 years. Great Jamaica, learn about international football, football over in the Caribbean, Central America, North America. It's totally different. Wow, So I'm all for experience as well. So, it's whatever experience next, because I just. Energy is key, and that gives me energy.
Yeah.
If I can teach, if I can work at something, if I can learn and be a sponge, and what's happening it's a lot of my always questions I ask them: what's it going to be like in 5 years? So you must have said 4 years ago when you started this, I wonder what it's going to be like in 5 years. Yeah. And I'm like, I wonder what football's going to be like in 5 years. But I also think, what was football like 5 years ago, 10 years ago? What is the same 5, 10 years ago? What's the same today? And we must not forget that instead of looking too far ahead. So that's always my question is, what are the principles? And I always go back even to 25 years ago with United. Them principles are exactly the same. Preparation, make them believe. Make them believe. And then you've got to give them the courage and the balls to go out there and play. Many people say, well, what makes Ferguson, Sven, what makes these top managers, these foreigners that come over, what makes them? I said, they've just got bigger balls. They've just got big courage. They make big decisions and they stick with them, and they just go forward, and that's, if I can leave you on that rather... Poor note, but
perfect note,
Brilliant.
accurate note. Are you happy for a few quick fire questions before we let you go?
Steve, it's been brilliant. This, thank you.
Absolutely. The 3 non-negotiable behaviours.
You must be on time.
Yep.
You must be on time. You must outwork the other person. You must outwork. Daley Thompson, I just remember when I started coaching, Daley Thompson used to say, I'm training on Christmas Day. Why? Because I know my opponents won't be working on Christmas Day and I'll have got one up. And that stuck with me. So on Christmas Day, every Christmas Day, I just get my books out and do a little bit of prep. Think, I'll try and outwork people. So hard work, basically. Third thing is enjoy it.
Yes.
I love humour. I love humour gives you energy. You know, I always say, well, what are the things that give you energy? Well, music gives you energy. Yeah, I know that from Jamaica. That's all we did, play music, and that really energised the group. Anger, and that's useful in its place to create energy, like that. But humour also, because you get some competition with banter, with humour. That really gets you in that sweet spot.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and why?
We had Dave Brailsford in at Derby for a chat, and his first line was, "Gentlemen, life's hard." He said it a little bit more than that, but he said, "Life's hard." He said, "We read books, fairy tale books with happy endings. Life is not like that." He says, "So expect along the way that it's hard." I thought, oh my God, you're so right. And I say that to everyone. I say, don't expect, you want to be successful? Really successful? It's really hard.
What is your biggest strength?
I think my resilience.
Yeah.
I think, you know, my energy, my enthusiasm.
I think your energy.
And I love being around football people or people who can teach me things.
Yeah.
You know, but then that's business. I do a lot of that as well. Listen to that. Anything that can teach me psychology and give me a little edge. So yeah, my energy, my resilience, because I've had to, just off. What's next?
What's your biggest weakness?
The list is too long. The list is too long. I try and mask it with whatever, but the list is too long. Over prepare, expectation, disappointment. I think the key is what I was trying to do, and I say to everyone should do therapy, by the way. Purely because not so much therapy, but everyone should know themselves.
Yeah.
And that's, I found that the key, and I worked with Bill for 30 years, and he really told me about myself.
Yeah. And
I go to him now and I say, well, what about me? And I say, well, yeah. He says, you weren't a top footballer. So really you just don't have that real belief of a top footballer? And I went, that's a good point, that. You know what I mean? So it's important that you know, and it's important that you know your triggers, Yeah. He used to tell me in games, you trigger, go down the tunnel, count to 10, and then come back. And people used to say to me, where are you going? Where are you going? I said, I need to go down that tunnel. I need to kick a door or do something and then come back and compose. So it's important. I think it's important. You need a mentor.
Yeah.
You definitely need a mentor or good people around you, which we'll probably come to.
And your golden rule for living a high performance life?
It's the same as what I say about, the three things which I treasure the most, Respect, which is being on time. Hard work, and you've got to enjoy it. You've got to have fun while doing it. It's the exam is Saturday. That's the crucial bit. But during that time, you've got to relax a bit and enjoy it. And yeah.
Steve, that goes right in straight away as one of the best episodes we've recorded of this podcast after over 400 episodes.
Yeah,
honestly.
Easily.
Honestly, it was brilliant. So interesting.
Wouldn't say that to Steve, honestly. We're not in the habit
an amazing life.
No, just see your nose growing, that's all.
No, honestly, just accept it as a compliment. It was brilliant. It was honestly a masterclass.
Yeah, thank you.
Honestly, thank you so much.